good. Our next speaker is Vijay Barv, who will talk to us about elevating the fitness of use of GBIF occurrence datasets, a proposal for peer review.
Okay, good morning. First disclaimer, I'm not presenting anything new. This has been discussed over and over again in different sessions here as well as several years. I was just having a word with Arthur. He said this was discussed in late 90s. So there is nothing new. I'm just kind of trying to reinitiate the dialogue or discussion again. Okay, so as I work with biodiversity data very frequently, I receive these kind of requests from several colleagues. Most of these people are like just first time data publisher. They have some research data. I talk to them or someone talks to them. They say, you should have your data on GBIF. And then they said, okay, then they start learning the process. Someone helps them put it into Darwin Core and the dataset gets published. And then most of them are researchers. So they feel, okay, when I'm publishing something, it has to go through a rigorous peer review. I need to get some feedback. Then I kind of improve it. And then finally, when several people agree that what I have done is good enough, then only it gets published. But with GBIF IPT, it's different. I just click publish button and register, and oh, it's already online. So then I start getting this sense, oh, I've done it, but have I done it right? Are people be going to use it? Will they understand what's happening? So what do we do? How do we kind of help all these people who are just starting to publish to kind of assure, saying, okay, what you have done is right, or maybe you can add these 2 or 3 things and it will be much better to use. So can we have some kind of peer review system, just like data papers? But publishing data papers is not possible. Sometimes your data set may be small but crucial because no one has published from that region. Sometimes you do not have funds to really put in the article processing fees to do it. So how do we do it? Can we help as a community to these people? And so the simple proposal is, can someone request once the dataset is published, saying, okay, I have published this, can someone give me feedback on it? So maybe we can have review process. We can have some kind of review editors to do it, and then we can have someone just reading metadata and say, okay, you have probably not explained your sampling methods well. Can you add something to that, or simple things like that? As well as we have a large body of work we have been discussing over last few days about what exactly data quality, what parameters absolutely need to be there, what would be good enough. We have so can we add some of those into kind of standardized checks, and someone else does the check rather than that person who is absolutely new trying to do it? And this probably also can be useful for someone who has been publishing it for 10 years, and someone looks at it and says, hey, but why don't you have this particular thing in your data? And I said, oh yeah, I can add that. So basically the whole idea is to kind of improve it based on some of these feedback. And I was looking for kind of parallel, simple kind of approaches and how to implement it. So maybe we can have some kind of review editors. Some people identify themselves saying, okay, I can help, let me know, and I can then assign it to different people. So who can do it? Maybe someone from the Radwig's data quality group, maybe someone from GBIF staff says, okay, if someone requires it, because anyway they are doing it for their own funded projects. People at GBIF headquarters, they need to review this anyway. Maybe GBIF now has this regional and thematic support team. Some of them can step up to be review editors, and I'm pretty sure from community we'll get a lot of reviewers who would like to look at the data and just provide feedback. Someone working in marine data say, okay, anything marine, send it to me. I can take a quick look and provide feedback. So can be it certainly can be done. And when I was looking for some parallel model, I looked at this journal of open source software, and what they do is they basically, when a review request is submitted, they just create a GitHub issue, and they have a kind of pre-filled checklist, and they have a bot which works on that and kind of creates that checklist, and then someone who is reviewing just has to go on kind of ticking the boxes saying, okay, I checked, the description looks good, the sampling method looks good, I've checked the data, the dates seem to be fine, or whatever checks we want to put in. And there is also a scope to write a pre-text review. So that's how they basically, this is kind of a snapshot from their GitHub page, and they have these kind of tick boxes and check boxes, and people can do it and submit it. So probably if we can implement something like that, and then maybe at the end of it, it gets kind of a seal saying, okay, this data set is peer reviewed, and maybe at some point GBIF also start showing that on the dataset page saying this was peer reviewed. Or maybe the best thing will be even every record gets a tag somewhere saying this record has been already peer reviewed. So when users are downloading it, they can possibly use it with greater confidence that, okay, this seems, they seem to know what they're doing, basically, the user, because sometimes that is the thing. So in some sense, moving like, to draw a parallel from iNaturalist, someone just posts a record and identifies something, taking it to research grade, saying, okay, a couple of people also agree to the ID and the location seems to be fine, and things like that. So yeah, that's what I wanted to just put forward, and would really love to hear from people. And then if more people think this is the right path, we should talk to maybe GBIF folks and say, can we start implementing something? Thank you.
Chapman from the Biodiversity Data Quality Interest Group. One of the things we're trying to do with the data quality task groups and the new standard we're developing, which we tentatively call BDQ Core, will be to have a compliance. A data set can be BDQ Core compliant. Now, we're still discussing whether that would have to have all tests run, or it could be part done if your database is only using part of it, but there needs to be a lot more discussion on that. But the other part of our 99 tests, there are 5 measure tests. So many tests were run through the validation. Of those, a number were compliant and a number were not compliant, etc. So that's another way of starting to measure that, and it doesn't need a person sitting down and doing the peer review so much as being produced by running the tests, and so it can be automated. And I think that's another way of adding some review of the data sets before they are actually published. But it may be quite a while before individual data sets start running these tests. And we hope that they go right back to the data set part, and they're run long before ALA, GBIF, OBIS, or anybody else ever sees the data.
I think that really sounds good. Like GBIF has required fields and recommended fields and maybe not applicable. So we can have tests classified into that, and every data set can definitely have those tags. I think that sounds like a really good way ahead.
Yes. André Hugebaert, former GBIF node manager for Belgium. I have a long experience dealing with people and different data sets, and I really appreciate the idea of having a review. Normally this is done, in some cases it's done by the node. So when a new data provider comes, we can help him. But sometimes it's so eager to publish the data that it goes straight to the IPT, publish the things, and afterwards we see the data set and have some comments or things like that. Even sometimes it's published as an occurrence data set and it should be in a sample event data set. This kind of thing that the new guys will never doubt. So I really think it's a good idea to have reviews, but this should be kind of forced by the process when it goes through GBIF, and things have to change for that. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Vijay, for the presentation. I am Ruben Pere from the European node of OBIS, and I work in a project called Emonet Biology, which I will present later, where we have already considered a few of these things. It's one of the, I guess it's one of what makes the EuroBIS or Emonet Biology to have like a bottleneck when publishing data, because we do have a number of tests that we do before publishing the data to make sure that the records have been, as you say, like some sort of peer reviewed. So one of the things that we have in place is a quality control tool. It's a web application that everyone can use that has a number of warning messages for the user to receive if, for example, you're missing some methodology information that should be relevant for this type of data set, then you get that information highlighted. We have a number of those warnings in that QC tool. And also we are working on developing fitness for use labels, not only for each data set, but also for each record, and to identify the quality of each record. So then users can also filter based on, whatever their interest is, filter the records that are either for modeling or something more like if they're interested in presence only, they don't need environmental data or something associated, that's fine as well. And what we would really appreciate, because now the tests that we have been developed in-house, is to have a common standard and for everyone to use. So because right now we're only just thinking ourselves what we would like to have as users, but it'd be really nice. We'd be happy to collaborate in the effort of developing standard tests for this fitness for use and labels. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. It's really, a lot of people are thinking in those directions, and I was thinking this was one idea.
We have a question. It's actually sort of a comment online from Esteban Marentes Herrera. We at SIB Columbia do something similar. At the node level, every published data set is reviewed by node staff. Should be really nice if it gets showed in GBIF with a small star, and we could have more feedback for other reviewers to improve quality. And then another question, so that was actually kind of a comment. There's another question from Michael Horton. When you work with field researchers, do you usually find that missing or inaccurate information can be recovered from their field notes? Or are there any frequent cases where they have failed to record a field that you really would like to have?
I would say, at least my experience has been mixed. Most of the times, if the field work was not very old, they have some sort of data, but I have also worked with people who have published their field notes and data after 30, 35 years. And sometimes they have certain things missing, so we can always like bump it to say, suppose, okay, it's not absolute occurrence record. Maybe it's a checklist for that region for that time period or things like that. But yeah, it's a mixed mixed availability in some sense, if it's really old data.
If there any more questions for Vijay? Nope. Okay. Thank you, Vijay.
Thank you.
We have just a couple minutes for potentially questions for any of the other speakers. We have our break at 10:30, and we're like a minute ahead. All right. Well, thank you very much. Let's have a round of applause for our speakers.